more. I figured out more in here about it.
See if we can find it. We can show it to the camera.
Okay, let me turn it quick.
People, she's got all these documents.
There's something else I'd like to tell
She's documenting
you.
all this. It's not just something she's pulling out of her head.
There's something else I'd like to tell you about
Go
Steve
ahead.
Arndt. I looked him up on the internet. He is
Oh,
embedded
yes.
at this time. He is embedded with the army in Iran, in Iraq, and Afghanistan as a fraud specialist.
As a fraud.
He's an inspector general with the army, and he's now been called over there to help the high-ups in the army figure out and investigate fraud, and to write up their inspection.
He investigates frauds.
Investigates fraud. He is a fraud specialist. That's how he knew. That's how he knew to fraud.
Put crooks
Miriam.
that are good at fraud in charge of checking army fraud, so they'll be paid off quickly and they'll take the bribes. I don't know what to say. I mean, fraud investigator takes one to know one. And what is this crook doing now, you might ask? Why, he's working for the government, of course. Washington, D.C., no less. Steve Arndt, Inspector General. So you go from being a local crook to being a federal, big-time, international crook. It's just what I found in St. George. When that chief of police was molesting the female deputies and got caught, they put him in charge of the sanitary district at 60% more pay.
Yep.
That was his punishment. And I saw the documents from the attorney from one of those female, it just, people, until we get representation, we're not going to fix things. You need to go to your city council, you need to go to your county supervisor and say, put it on the agenda, double, triple the number of districts so that the district gets small enough that an average person, like Gwen's husband, can run by walking door to door, and he doesn't need corporate money to buy him big billboards, but he can go and shake hands and meet people and listen to their real complaints. What you got?
This is the forgery.
Okay, here's the forgery.
You could take your glasses off and tell the difference.
Oh yeah, I don't need my glasses.
Unbelievable.
Let's zoom in on
That's
this.
the forgery.
You can see which one is your real signature.
This one, of course. It's the good one.
Okay, the one over here.
See how hard pressed my hand goes?
Yeah,
Look at
this
that
one
thing.
here, that's the real Miriam Krause signature. I'll move this book there. Focus, focus. There. The one over here is the one who signed for you?
Steve Arndt.
Steve Arndt.
Steve Arndt
The fraud specialist now working for the United States Army. Hello, people.
filed it in the court.
And he filed this in the court. This has got the court seal.
And that
That's
shows
certified.
that it looked like she didn't have any equity,
I
so that he could put her into Chapter 7 instead of Chapter 11.
Now this is the one
Is that a common thing, Gwen?
Oh, yes.
yeah, a lot of bankruptcy fraud going on.
Chapter 7 is a total liquidation. They have the right to totally liquidate everything.
But they have
Did
to liquidate.
you ever consent to a total 7?
Oh,
Chapter 7?
absolutely not. I've held my
Not-
ground through. I thought I was in a Chapter 11. They didn't even tell me I was in a Chapter 7.
What do you think of that, Gwen?
Yeah.
Listening to this, I can't understand why you maintain such a lovely disposition through all this.
Because I pray.
She's getting to come on television.
And they aren't bigger than God.
yeah,
And that's the only thing.
Exactly.
Now this is the one that was filed correctly. See, $947,000 of mortgages on
Right.
on my 4 houses. Here's
On
my
four.
4 houses. 1, 2, 3,
Three,
4.
four, yeah.
Okay. Now, here is what he filed. Now he filed this. He filed
He
this
filed
paper.
that one, yeah.
Right. Here he goes. Here he files this one with $1,394,000 in liabilities.
In liabilities.
Right. And here he puts down 6 houses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But when you do
Oklahoma
the
City?
math, yeah, that's where one of the lenders
Yeah.
was. But when
Nova
you do
State.
the math, if you add the real estate value, this is really funny. If you add the real estate value, you come to $1,784,000 worth of real estate that I own. Okay, that's real estate value. And you take away his fraudulent $1,394,000, you still end up with my $413,000 worth of equity,
Which disappeared.
which he disappeared.
Exactly. Oh.
So
That's
if
sort of
you
like
use his documents, they
that's-
still give me $413,000 worth of
And
equity.
they still liquidate her
like
with
the-
nothing.
Still liquidated it.
that's like
Except-
the $1 trillion worth of gold bricks at the World Trade
Right.
Center in New York City, and they only found $280 million worth of it after the 9/11 event. And I always thought that is so strange, but it's not strange because now I've talked to one of the truck drivers that was pulling the gold bullion out for 2.5 days before 9/11.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was a
Secretly
setup.
pulling the bullion
Right.
out, and pulling the bullion
Right.
out, and it was only that last 2 trucks they found that still they didn't get out quick enough.
Now here's another one. When you file your statement of financial affairs, you file a year. You add the year that you file a bankruptcy. This is educational
Right.
too, plus 2 years previous. Okay, here he put down on mine 1 year, and here the day after I filed September 11th. On September 12th, this person filed and he put down 3 years. So he knew better. He did it deliberately.
Jeffrey Osborne.
Yeah.
He made it look like she wasn't making very much.
Well,
That's
what
right.
he did was he filed mine wrong deliberately, because
Gwen,
if he knew enough a day after he filed mine to file this one with 3 years, then he would have
But do you
known
think
enough to do it
you
this
think
year.
she falsely manufactured these documents and falsely made up this court seal and all this?
And here's his name.
Would anybody go? Is this not
Would anybody
forgery,
go to the
fraud?
trouble of doing all
this
this?
Isn't this multiple felonies?
Gosh, this is sickening, Mr. Wagener.
I know it's sickening, but so
But
is
here's
used
another
pizza.
one.
But
Yes.
We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Here's the third Schedule D he filed, and this one he said was $841,208.76. So he entered 3 Schedule Ds.
does that sound like an appropriate thing to do?
No.
Should this guy even be allowed to go into a courthouse?
Oh,
But
of
he's an
course
inspector
not.
general.
Oh, but yeah, that's right. He's the Steve
right.
Harvey, the Inspector General for your army that's getting blown away. And you wonder why more American soldiers have come home now and committed suicide than got killed in combat. And you know what? Sean and Hannity aren't talking about the suicides. Greta Van Susteren ain't talking about the suicides.
No.
Nancy Disgrace and Bill O'Reilly are not talking about the fact we have more American vets that come back from Iraq and Iran. I know I'm digressing, but I'm getting there.
No, you go ahead.
Commit suicide after they come back from service because of what they were ordered to do over there, then got killed in actual combat. And nobody in the national media is going to tell you that truth, but I've spoken to some of the widows and the children and the girlfriends of these guys that come back and commit suicide. And nobody's talking about national media. And the fact that there's more of them that got killed in combat tells me what our government is doing to our own GIs and making them do unlawful murders and torture and strip people naked and have female soldiers come in and rip up the Quran, their Holy Quran, and drop the pages and stick it up their butts while they're in a naked pile and they're taking pictures of them. You haven't seen what I have seen, and nobody in national television has told you how absolutely wicked our soldiers are behaving over there, and I have no question in my mind why they commit suicide. They come back and have to face their mother, and their mother says, well, what did you do as a jailer, son?
Yes.
Well, I piled up innocent people who weren't even combatants, stark naked, ripped their holy book up, stuck the pages up their crevices, and had females laugh at them. Female soldiers urinate at them.
It's called herd, H-E-R-D, herd mentality. That's what they say.
And the key part was, and I can't mention the name yet, but one of the operatives came directly from Dick Cheney's office, the Vice President of the United States. By the way, if you don't know, he was indicted in Willacy County, Texas. But unless you watch my YouTube clips, you wouldn't know that. But if you don't believe me, I did an interview with Juan Guerra, the district attorney, the ex-district attorney of Willacy County, Texas. That's one of the most southern counties in there. I'm not going to go into the reasons why Dick Cheney was indicted, but the whole thing was squashed and covered up just like that. Our government is so corrupt, and Hannity and Combs, I told you about this, didn't I, Gwen?
Yes, you did.
Did you look up the video clip?
Oh, yes, I did.
Were you shocked?
Yes, I was shocked.
Now tell me, did you see anything about this on Fox News?
Not one word.
Do you still think Fox is kind of fair and balanced?
Now I'm really having my doubts.
That's what I love doing, people. Giving people second thoughts. That's why we call this show On Second Thought. I want to get you thinking. Turns out I'm the only person in all of California to put on television and on YouTube the fact that your Vice President Dick Cheney was indicted. Yes, indicted. Not by one wacko attorney, but by a grand jury of citizens who looked at a pile of evidence and said, hot dog, I don't care if he's the vice president. He did bad, we got to indict him.